Hi guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with a Kai'Sa updated complete guide. Now, honestly for Kai'Sa, we have already done a complete guide for her. And for our new updated complete guides, normally we give an updated build or something that's updated. So now, I gotta be honest here, there is no real update because Kai'Sa still has the same build. And yeah, so there is no updated build. Now, when the patch 2.4 first released, there was a new build with the Solari Charge Blade, but personally, I honestly never really liked that build. Just due to the fact that I feel that Runaan's Hurricane is essential to spread your passive to multiple enemies, to proc it, but that build replaced the Runaan's Hurricane with the Solari Charge Blade, so generally I still prefer the Runaan's Hurricane even when Solari Charge Blade had true damage, and now that Solari Charge Blade no longer has true damage, most people will probably agree that the Runaan's Hurricane build is probably better at the moment. So whatever the case is, I've always been doing the Runaan's Hurricane build, so I'm just going to go through the build again. Now, mainly I want to make this video because I've been saying that Kai'Sa is very good and is the best ADC, but I haven't really been pushing out content for her. I have played a lot of games of Kai'Sa and I have, a lot of good games on Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is my most played champion. So let's quickly just get into the build. So this is just a recap, but of course for everything in full, please refer to the previous Kai'Sa complete guide that I have posted. I will put that up in the cards as well as leave a link in the description as usual for these updated complete guides. So of course, first up, you want to go for Maul Reminder, BF Sword, as well as a Longsword. Now these three items together will give you your first evolution, which is your Evolved Ecathan Rain, doubling the missiles from 6 to 12. So now between Maul Reminder and BF Sword, you can go for either or first. If you don't have enough gold on your first bag, just get the Maul Reminder. If you have enough gold, get the BF Sword. Unless you're playing into a healing lane, like for example a Nami or a Soraka, then you probably still want to get the Maul Reminder first together with a Longsword. So after that, you can complete your Blade of the Ruined King. And after that, you go for the Recurve Bow. And now these items will give you your E-Evolution, which does give you that invisibility when you're using your Supercharge. So, for the boots, you can actually get the boots anywhere in between the build. Now, definitely don't get it before the first evolution, but after the first evolution, you can get it before the BF Sword. As you're building the BF Sword halfway, you can get it after the BF Sword, you can get it as well. And in some rare instances, I have had games where I only get my tier 1 boots after I have both my evolutions. So meaning after I get the Maul Reminder, BF Sword, Long Sword, Blade of the Ruined King, and the Recurve Bow, then I get my tier 1 boots. So yeah, pretty much for Kai'Sa, the boots are not as important as her evolution. So you definitely don't want to buy boots before your first evolution. But of course, you do want to get it build a bit later on in the game because you need that mobility and a movement speed from the boots. So for which type of boots to get, generally the Gluttonous Greaves is the good in all situations kind of boot, so you always can get these boots. But if you guys notice, Kai'Sa does have a lot of lifesteal with our build, so she does have, we do take the Hunter Vampirism, we have the Blade of the Ruined King, so there is already a lot of healing, so this actually leaves room for defensive boots. So if you're playing into a team where, let's say it's a full AD team, or a team with a lot of AP that has a lot of crowd control, you can go for either the Plated Steel Caps or the Merc Treads as well. So honestly, the boot choice is up to you. You have a choice between the Gluttonous Greaves, the Merc Treads, and the Plated Steel Caps depending on the situation. So you can actually just go for whichever boots you prefer, or whichever boots are better for the situation or the particular game that you're in. So this is the build at the start of the game, as you guys can see. So now I'm going to show you guys the build at the end of the game. Okay, so after you complete your Blade of the Ruined King and you have your boots, then you go for the Infinity Edge and Runaan's Hurricane. So now by this point, you actually already have the BF Sword section of the Infinity Edge, and you already have the Recurve Bow section for the Runaan's Hurricane. Now personally, between whether to build Infinity Edge first or Runaan's Hurricane first, it is sort of a personal preference. But by and large, I think Infinity Edge is better just because Blade of the Rune King is a little bit more of a utility item. It barely gives you any AD, just like I believe 30 AD only, so you don't really have a lot of AD. So with the Infinity Edge, you not only get 55 AD, but you also get bonus damage on your crit. So it does give you a huge injection of damage. Whereas if you go for Runan's Hurricane earlier, you're pretty much going for the attack speed and the spreading of your passive. So that to me isn't too useful unless you're playing into a team with like at least 3 tanks. Then maybe going for Runan's Hurricane first does make sense because you can use your passive to shred the tanks. But other than that, I always go for Infinity Edge first and then into Runan's Hurricane. Then normally after I get all my evolutions or when I complete my Infinity Edge, I will actually go for my boot upgrade, which is of course generally in 90% of games it is the Stasis Enchant, aka Zanya's Hourglass, and in the last 10% of games it will be the QSS, because of the fact that you are generally gonna be diving in a lot with your ultimate, so you need you need a lot of lifesteal and you need a lot of survivability, so that's why you go for so many lifesteal items, survivability items like the Zanyas and the QSS, or even the Merc Treads for, you know, even less crowd control time, because you're very vulnerable to crowd control when you dive in, of course. So after you complete your 3 core damage items of Blade of the Rune King, Infinity Edge, and Runan's Hurricane, you would have used all the parts that we had for just rushing the evolutions. So, I forgot to mention this at the start, but rushing the evolutions is still the best way to go on Kai'Sa, not completing full items. So after that, you go for the Maul Reminder. The Seralda's Grudge is not very useful on Kai'Sa, especially since you can spread the Grievous Wounds to enemies very easily using your Q. So you can apply Grievous Wounds very easily, and you also rush the Maul Reminder at the start of the game. So that builds into the Maul Reminder. So, actually, I mean, you rush the Executioner's Calling at the beginning of the game, which builds into the Moral Reminder. And of course, as your last item, you go for the Guardian Angel for that a little bit of AD armor, as well as the Revive passive, of course. Now, of course, we're going to cover the runes and the spells as well. Now, for the runes, of course, you want to go Conqueror, the best rune for AD carries. And for the second one, I will go for Hunter Vampirism. I no longer go for Brutal or Gathering Storm, just because Hunter Vampirism, you need that lifesteal. So now Hunter Vampirism used to be very underrated, but now a lot of AD carries are taking it, including Kai'Sa, of course. So Hunter Vampirism gives you that lifesteal that you need from diving in. And for the second one, I always go for Hunter Titan. Now this is mainly for the stacking tenacity, because as I mentioned, you are always going to be in the midst of the enemy team with your low range and, you know, ulting in. So it is going to be very helpful to have that tenacity just to be CC'd for a shorter duration. Lastly, of course, we have Sweet Tooth just for more sustaining lane. For the spells, we have Barrier and Flash. So mainly, I go for Barrier, but you can go for Heal sometimes. Kai'Sa, I generally take Barrier like 95% of games, because you normally will be diving in and you need the Barrier to protect yourself, but you can also go for Heal if, you know, you feel like you want to play front to back, you won't be diving them, or that the enemy team is very tanky and you just want Heal to help your support as well. So yeah, that is it for the build section. Now we're going to move on to the gameplay. Alrighty, so here is the Kai'Sa gameplay. So as I always say, if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Really will help me out. So I actually managed to troll myself, in which I actually put the wrong Kai'Sa video into the actual editor itself, and I actually voiced over the wrong Kai'Sa video. But anyways, more on that later. Here, I want to teach you guys a level 1 Kai'Sa trick. So pretty much when the barriers come down on the base, you run straight into your bot side / top side bush, whichever side you're on. Run straight to the edge of the bush and ward the bush. Now, very often an enemy will actually walk to their bush to ward your bush later on than you, because since you ran straight from base, normally they'll take their time, and literally half the time this happens, and I managed to get off an entire queue onto them, which pretty much wins me the lane at level 1. Now in this match, the Tristana didn't actually do that, so that's fine, but it happens very often, so that's just a trick you guys want to take note of. So as I was actually mentioning just now, I actually managed to screw up and put the wrong Kai'Sa gameplay into the editor, and I actually voiced over 7 minutes of gameplay before realizing this is the wrong video. It's actually the gameplay that I used for the best bans for patch 2.4b, which I just released a couple days ago before this one. So if you guys haven't seen that, be sure to check it out. I'll leave it in the cards above. So here Soraka makes a huge mistake. Soraka that never wants to really be alone, so I actually flash for the Soraka, but I don't actually manage to pick up the kill. But Tristana here becomes over aggressive and ends up in a 2v1 against them. So Rammus actually rolls in for the assist, and I managed to pick up a quick double kill, which pretty much means that the enemy bot lane is in huge trouble, because giving a Kai'Sa a double kill at the early stages of the game is not good at all for them, because Kai'Sa is a pretty late game character. So they're in big trouble. So there are two real ways you can play Kai'Sa. You can play Kai'Sa as a front to back AD carry or as an assassin. So the first way of playing Kai'Sa is playing front to back. Now when you play front to back, basically you play like as if you're a Jinx. So you stay at the back behind all your fighters and your tanks and everybody, and auto attack whoever is the closest target to you, and just basically get off as much damage as you can to whoever you can, playing very safe. Now, the other way you can play Kai'Sa is a backline assassin, where if you manage to get off your passive mark onto anybody in the backline, you can ult to the backline and assassinate them. Now, of course, Kai'Sa doesn't have one fixed playstyle. She can play both playstyles at the same time. So that is what makes her very versatile. She can play safe, but she can play aggressive as well. So there really is no real wrong way to play Kai'Sa. So here Tristana makes the mistake of going over to ward. Thankfully she has mobility. If that was like a Jhin or a Jinx, she would be dead. So pretty much you have to know when to switch between the two playstyles of Kai'Sa to really be good at her. And we'll see if we can show that off in today's video. So here, pretty much since we have a lead now, I'm just trying to be as aggressive as possible. When Tristana puts her bomb on me, I'm going to back off so I don't take damage, because Tristana's main damage in the early game is from her E when she puts it on you. So her basic attacks don't do too much damage. So if she puts it on you, just back off. So here Nami has the right idea of being very, very aggressive. Here I ult in to kill the Soraka. Actually, that was honestly a little bit too aggressive, but Nami actually saves my life there by ulting the Tristana when Tristana was jumping towards me. So if she didn't do that, Tristana would have just Goomba stomped on my head and likely just put her E onto me, and I would just die because I have no escape. I have already flashed, previously for the Soraka kill, but actually my flash is back up, so I'm not sure if I could have flashed away from her there. But yeah, so I already have my first evolution as well as picking up my boots, since I have 500 extra gold. So here I'm going to be really, really strong. If I get any of the two of them isolated, I'm going to be doing roughly, I believe, like half their health. We shall see. I'm pretty sure that one of them will make that mistake. So here, Soraka a little bit overextended, not really going to take advantage. Here Tristana, boom, about a third of their health, I would say. Of Tristana's health, I would say. So here, Xin Zhao actually comes in for a gank. So now we're in a 3v2. Now I'm in a 1v3, but they're all so low. I tried to flash for the kill on Soraka, but Soraka flashes away. I'm about to die, but at least I get a return kill onto the Xin Zhao. Nearly ended in tragedy there. I could have actually traded 2 for 2. But unfortunately Soraka didn't die, and it could have been worse. It could have been a 2 for nothing, because I almost didn't get the Xin Zhao, but thankfully we did. So all is well. All is well. We do manage to pick up the kills there, and also has allowed me to get a Vamp Scepter. Nothing too big of a purchase there, considering we just went back to get items. So here the team is doing Dragon. I checked out the minimap and saw, not the minimap, I scrolled over and saw that they're doing it very, very slowly without me, because they have a Nami, a Zed, and a Rammus, all of which take Dragon very, very slowly. So they need my DPS there, so I hit on over just to contribute my DPS to pick up the Dragon. Then we're going back to clear the lane. Now the wave state is very good for us. They have to extend very far into the lane to actually get the CS. So this is very good for us. I'm keeping the wave here. I'm not pushing the wave out. I'm just leaving the wave here, because with this we have a very high chance of getting a catch like this. So boom, at this point we're pretty fed. Tristana jumps away, but Soraka can't jump away, so we destroy the Soraka. Rammus comes in for the dive, and he takes the aggro, so I take the kill onto the Tristana. No problems there. And here we're just going to get the tower as well. Obviously, we have killed both of them. We see 2 enemies mid, so 3 enemies mid actually. So it's very, very safe just to force this tower down all the way, and boom, we already got our tower. So we're winning the lane, you know, pretty hard. We're like 6-1, so we're winning the lane pretty hard, which allows us to get our Blade of the Rune King already. And at this point in time, we have already gotten our tower. So we're gonna actually rotate over to the mid lane where the Rift Herald is, you know, causing a problem. It's wreaking havoc in the mid lane. So here we're just gonna clear up the Rift Herald and see if we can do anything about it. Of course, despite being 6-1, you're not going to be diving into a group of 3 enemies. But here, obviously, all of them are trying to back, so we're not going to allow it to happen. We're just going to try to disrupt them as much as possible, just to waste their time, you know, reduce their tempo. As you guys can see, we're disrupting the backs. And yeah, just keep on disrupting those backs. And here, we're just going to try to take down the tower as well. And we do actually manage to do it. Orianna ults doesn't actually do all that much. Here, I almost pick up the Soraka, but Soraka flashes away yet again. Second time the Soraka has managed to flash away from me. And Orianna flashes away from me as well. So, nothing much I can do there. So, I'm actually thinking of backing. But I see the Xin Zhao and the Tristana very overextended. So, I'm not sure if my team needs help. So, I'm just going to head on over. Turns out they don't. And I just back. Alright, so at this point in the game, majority of my team is doing well. I can't say the majority. Ari isn't doing well. Zed is doing alright. Rammus is doing alright. And he has shown that he knows what he's doing. Like, he goes for the dragons. He knows how to dive with his team. So I'm pretty confident in the Rammus. We are doing well, of course. Nami, of course, with us together is doing well as well. So pretty much our team is in a pretty good position. But overall, the score is 12-10. And the goal difference is only about 2k, which all things considered, 2k goal difference is not a lot. The enemy Irelia and the enemy Orianna is a problem. So at this point in the game, we may be doing very well, but the team is, you know, doing not too. I wouldn't say not well, but I would say that the two teams are very even at the moment. So this is still anybody's game. So of course, being the most fed member of the team, we of course have to carry the team. So we can't be playing too dangerous. We have to be playing safe, you know, and not doing anything too reckless. Here we just destroy whoever that is. He gone down so fast that I didn't even know. And we jump into the Xin Zhao. Killing him. Tristana decides to jump into 4 people, so she just dies. The poor decision making by the Tristana. So something to note is that since we are so strong, Xin Zhao is only 2-4, and we have a numbers advantage. So in this case, you actually want to walk into his ultimate, into his attack range, instead of walking away from him. If not, we can't actually put out any damage. Here, I'm getting caught by the actual fed members of the enemy team. So I'm here. I'm just gonna back away. I'm thinking of backing, but I see the situation that actually the Irelia is very low. So I'm gonna actually hit over, speed boosting in, and queuing for the kill. Now, I really actually make the right decision here to, instead of try to run, to turn on me, because there is no way she can outrun my E. So she actually made the right decision to turn on me, and she nearly gets the return kill. So good decision making by the Irelia there. She definitely made the right choice to turn. So here, you know, we're just gonna back and reset. Dragon is up. We see Xin Zhao is actually walking to the dragon area, but you know, we can't simply just walk there and contest at the, you know, such a low health, because that would just be giving them a free dragon and a couple of free kills as well. So now that we have respawned, we're gonna actually hit over. Probably not gonna make it there in time. Yeah, we don't, but we are in time to clean up the fight. Xin Zhao only worth 250 gold at this point. You know, so he isn't having the best game, and we recently, you know, actually killed the Irelia. So Irelia and Orianna definitely are the win conditions, and especially since Orianna can put the ball onto Irelia in order to get off a good ultimate, so that is relatively dangerous for us. So here we can bat to get items. So we are gonna pick up the Infinity Edge. So at this point we have our double evolution as well as our Infinity Edge. So this at this point we are really strong. Our most major power spike is when we get Runans, but here I'm ignoring red buff, although I wanted to get it. Here I out to you know, kill the Irelia, but you know, Zed already picks up the kill before I pretty much even do anything. So here I'm just gonna go back get the red buff. Red buff is way more useful on me than Rammus. So Rammus, thankfully, isn't going to fight me for it. He's just going to give it over. So we do have the red buff picked up. And with that, we have an extra slow and a burn as well. So here, I'm just going to use everything on Tristana. Tristana barely actually survives my so-called combo. My combo being an isolated Q and a couple of basic attacks. But this allows us to actually pick up the Baron. Tristana we know is going to back. We can see Soraka in the mid lane. Although we don't have vision of 3 enemies, I'm very strong at the moment, so I don't really mind just bursting the Baron down. We now have vision of Irelia, so no issues here, no contest on the Baron. We easily pick up the Baron as Orianna is trying to split push the top lane. So here I'm seeing if we can find a pick. We find a Soraka, but Irelia happens to be in the area as well. I get rooted, but I quickly finish off the Soraka and as well as the Irelia. Xin Zhao thinking of coming near, but he decides better of it. Good choice on his part. And Nami picks up the blue buff for our efforts, which will help her a great deal. Nami being a very mana-hungry support. So here we have the Baron buff. We're just going to force down the mid lane because they can't really defend against the Baron buff, especially since these two are the weaker members of the team. Xin Zhao decides he wants to engage, but just as we actually destroy the tower. Here, I know my damage, so here I'm actually going to ult in, get off my entire Q on her, and basic attack. I can actually just walk out of the tower. Probably would take 2 tower shots on the way out. But Tristana manages to give me a free ride out by buster shotting me out of the tower range. Very much appreciated. Leaves me at full health, ready to wreck the rest of her team, like so. So at this point in time, we have picked up 2 inhibitors. Orianna is left, but she can't do anything against an entire team. So I pick up a kill on her as well, and we easily finish off the game. So I hope this will demonstrate to you guys how strong Kai'Sa really is. So here, as usual, I'm going to leave you guys with the stats. So thank you guys for watching the video, and goodbye.